What's up guys, my name is Ace, and it's time to continue our perk breakdowns for Black Ops 4. We've gone through quite a few perks, and by far the most requested one at the moment is the Ghost perk. Many people are wondering what exactly Ghost protects you from, how it helps you in this game, and whether or not it's worth it to run, and I'm going to tell you right up front here, it's generally not worth it at all, and this is the worst Ghost perk we've ever seen in a Call of Duty game. So let's go over why. First up, let's have a look at the perk description. For Ghost, in this game, it says you are undetectable by enemy UAVs while moving, planting or defusing bombs, or controlling score streaks. And the description is accurate. It only does work while you're moving or performing those other actions, but that's nothing new with Call of Duty. This is something we've seen for many years now, where Ghost isn't working for you 100% of the time. You have to be on the move, and this prevents people from camping in random corners and being completely undetectable by UAVs. And I think a lot of the community really enjoys that aspect of Ghost, because it is quite annoying to play against those types of people that are constantly just sitting in random areas and they just never show up on the radar for you. However, what a lot of people don't realize is they really took it far this time around. In all of the previous Call of Duty games where the Ghost perk required you to be on the move for it to be activated, the movement speed threshold was relatively low. You could walk around the map, so as long as you were standing and moving around with most guns, you would stay off the enemy's radar. You didn't have to be at a full sprint or anything. You could just be on the move at a brisk sort of pace. With many of the guns, you could even keep Ghost activated while aiming down sight if you were strafing with the stock attachment. In this game, no matter what gun is in your hands, or even if you just have fists out, you have to be sprinting in order for Ghost to activate. And the moment you stop sprinting, it deactivates almost immediately. And this makes it extremely weak against UAVs because you have to be literally sprinting in order to stay off of that. And it doesn't really give you much of a buffer either. Like when you stop sprinting, it doesn't take like 2 or 3 seconds for it to deactivate. It's just immediately, oh, Ghost is turned off now, and you will show up on the enemy's radar. If you're ever wondering if Ghost is currently activated for you, just have a look at your minimap and you can see that your arrow on the minimap will darken a bit once Ghost is activated once you reach that full sprint speed. So even when it just comes to the movement speed, Ghost is the weakest that we've seen out of any Call of Duty games, but we also have the Fog of War system, and this has been a big question for a lot of people. Does Ghost keep you off of the Fog of War from the enemy so that his teammates can't see you, as long as you're moving fast enough and you're keeping that Ghost perk activated? It turns out you still appear on that Fog of War for the player as well as all of his teammates, even if you're at that full sprint and for you the Ghost perk is activated. So let's just say you're really good at sprinting around the map to make sure that you're always keeping that Ghost perk activated so the UAVs are never detecting you. That's great until you run within any enemy's line of sight and now you're showing up on the radar for the entire enemy team. A couple other things I decided to test here was Recon's Vision Pulse. I know nowhere in the perk description does it say that Ghost counters that, but I wanted to test it anyway for you guys because sometimes you have weird things like that occur. Turns out Ghost has no impact whatsoever on the Vision Pulse, and same thing goes with his Sensor Dart. A lot of people have been wondering about that. You can be sprinting circles around in his Sensor Dart. You will always be appearing with the Ghost perk. It doesn't shorten the duration. It doesn't do anything. You're just popping up all the time. As a result, at least in its current state, I would say Ghost is practically a useless perk in this game. You'd be so much better off running a launcher with that extra point instead of wasting it on a perk. That way, if somebody does call a UAV in and you don't want to show up on that UAV, you can shoot it down so it doesn't detect you, you get free score, and you're helping your team out in the process. So after doing all this testing, I have completely removed Ghost from all of my classes. Even my stealth classes, I have now substituted that for a launcher. I would highly encourage you guys to save your class point. Don't even bother with the Ghost perk, at least in its current state. And this is where I did want to mention what I would do to fix the Ghost perk in this game. To me, the solution to this seems fairly obvious. Lower that movement speed threshold down to roughly 95% or 90% for instance. That way, if you are walking around at full speed without sprinting, you will still be able to keep the Ghost perk activated. But of course, if you stop for a period of time, or if you aim down sight for instance, which will slow you down below that threshold, then it will deactivate Ghost still, so it won't be like a camper's dream or anything. It will just be a lot more effective to use if you're on the move and you're trying to flank your enemies. In addition to that, I absolutely think Ghost should counter the Fog of War mechanic. If you're within an enemy's Fog of War radius and your Ghost perk is currently activated, so you're moving at a speed beyond that threshold, you should not be appearing for the entire enemy team just because you got within the Fog of War radius of an enemy. Now, of course, if you stop moving within the enemy's fog of war, sure, show up for everybody on the enemy team, or obviously if you fire an unsilenced gun, then yes, you should be showing up on the radar. But if you're still on the move and you happen to dart across an enemy's fog of war radius, or maybe up behind a guy, for instance, where you have that slight radius around behind you, I really feel if you're actively spending a point on the ghost perk, and you're also following the rules so you stay on the move to keep that ghost perk activated, you should not be showing up on the radar for the enemy team. Of course, these are just my opinions though. I think those minor changes would make a world of difference and make this perk actually viable, because in its current state, the ghost perk to me is completely useless. Of course though, I'd like to know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the ghost perk in its current state in Black Ops 4? Do you agree with me? Do you think the ghost perk is very underwhelming and needs some sort of love? Or do you disagree with me? Do you think it's fine as is? Let me know those thoughts in the comment section down below. If you guys are interested in checking out any of my other perk breakdowns, I'll leave a few of them linked down below. We've got the cold-blooded breakdown as well as dexterity, and just recently I did a breakdown on dead silence versus the acoustic sensor. So I'll leave those all linked in the description down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time. Yeah.